Hotel and casino employees of Reddit. What is the craziest thing you've seen a guest do? There was a jazz festival in the town and lots of performers stayed in the hotel. Then once, a few jazz musicians met in the corridor and started to improvise. It wouldn't have been so crazy if they hadn't met at 2 AM. I saw a guy drop his pants and start humping a slot machine. When security removed him, he said he wanted to screw the machine like it screwed him. The cocktail waitresses were always telling horror stories about people eating and pissing themselves because they were on a hot machine. Another thing they'd do is piss in the change cups so they didn't have to get up. While not a hotel or casino employee, this is craziest thing that happened in a hotel that I have ever seen. 2 years ago I was a part of the local volunteer fireman crew, and one day while sitting around the firehouse we get a call from an ambulance crew that said they needed help at a hotel in the town. Now most of the time when an ambulance crew calls for help it's normally cutting people from a car crash or something like that. But not this one. Oh no, this is one that will stick in my mind for a long time. So we get to the hotel thinking that the person is stuck in a car or in a hotel room underneath some heavy object. We meet the hotel manager at the front door who brings us to the hotel room where the ambulance crew are with the injured party. I entered the room expecting a man pinned underneath some very heavy object, but no, what I saw was a man in his late 40s butt ass naked with a cock ring over his cock and balls. You see, the man was with his wife and the two were celebrating their wedding anniversary and they wanted to have a sex-fueled weekend away from the kids in a hotel. The man thought that to keep a hard on for all their sex they were planning he should pop a few little blue pills and put on a cock ring. Bad move, because after an hour of sex his cock balls swelled and he couldn't take off the cock ring. After an hour of worrying what the duck they are going to do, they call an ambulance crew who call us, and we spend the next hour very slowly cutting the cock ring off, making sure not chop off the poor man cock and balls. I worked front desk on the graveyard shift at the Pippa Mill in Reno, NV for about a year, and I saw quite a bit of ridiculous stuff. One story that sticks out is a gorgeous girl that is drunk as it coming down the escalator into the lobby from the club they had there. She was in stiletto heels, short skirt, etc, and wobbling super bad. Then she gets off the escalator, and looking green in the face she starts hobble jogging to the trash can to puke. She misses the trash can entirely and pukes all over the marble floor. What makes this hilarious is she was with some Guido Affliction shirt wearing dude. As she pukes and misses, this dude runs over to help pull back her hair or something. When he gets to her, she slips in the puke and grabs him for stability, and he has her for a second, until he takes a step to get more leverage and he slips and they both go down in the puke. They were literally rolling around in the puke. Then security helped them up and I have no idea what happened to them after that. I have some other stories if there is any interest. I work at a hotel front desk, and about 10 minutes ago, a guest told me he would pay to watch me strip on our front counter. I really need a different job. My girlfriend works as front desk manager at a pretty large hotel. She said one night guests were complaining of a smoke smell. The fire department was called. In a room they found that some guests were using the toilets to cook food. The seat had been removed since it's plastic. There was charcoal inside with a metal grill on top of that. They were cooking chicken on a toilet. I don't work a hotel, but when I was staying in a hotel in Edmonton, there was this 60-ish-year-old man sitting butt naked by the hot tub in the pool room eating spaghetti and meatballs with his hands, and dropping various sized batteries into the hot tub from one of those reusable grocery store bags filled with them. I promptly noped out of there and informed the front desk clerk. I knew a girl who worked for a casino in Vegas, can't remember which one, and she would hand out flyers to people walking into a cosmetic store. Anyways, guys would think she's a prostitute and would ask her how much she charges and what she would be willing to do. Some guys would even give her their card keys to their room. They'd tell her to meet them there when her shift ends. She said it made her feel dirty and gross, so she quit after a month. Some guys are such scumbags. TLDR. Guys think every girl in Vegas is a whore. I work at a hotel in Las Vegas. For the next 4 days, at least, crazy becomes mundane after a while. One that comes to mind right now is when a guy walked up to my desk and asks for a manager. I usually like to, or rather, the managers like me to, get a feel for what the situation is before they come out to talk so that they can be prepared. A guy told me that it was too personal, so I go to get my manager. I'm eavesdropping, and turns out this guy needs to talk to Will Smith, and for some reason thought that my manager could facilitate this. Will Smith was not staying with us. We are not affiliated with him. It was confusing. Take it on the craps table. My brother's story from a hotel casino that he did maintenance plumbing at. A group of Latino men were staying at the hotel. No big thing. They get a lot of tourists who come to the casino surrounding area. Well, one day, a group of white men came in and went directly up to the hotel room, and came out shortly later. They gave the front desk girl a slight nod and walked out. Less than 5 minutes later, cops and DA everywhere. These guys were second tier in a Mexican cartel, trafficking heroin in the area. My brother came out of the room he was fixing something in to see them taking the two men out of the room and taking out, in his words, those bricks of white powder in plastic wrap that you see in movies. The guys that had just gone up to the room were undercover agents, who had been posing as local heroin dealers for a while. No one ever came to collect their stuff. The cops took the drugs, guns, money, fake passports, IDs, etc. within the 30-day lost and found period. My brother got 4 nice pairs of leather shoes out of it, as well as a few button-down shirts. Another employee got all of their designer denim. Why is everybody acting in casinos? Another story I was told about was this elder gentleman came in there, had to be in his 60s, and brought all his life savings. He played all night, and lost everything. This poor, beaten man then goes out to the parking lot and put a bullet through his skull. I'm sure security and the local police had fun with that one. My old job as a recreation attendant, which is really a fancy title of pool boy. I was closing up, locking the gates for the pools and picking up towels. Our hotel has a pretty sweet water slide, so I have to lock that up. 2. Caught a couple just going at it inside the slide. I couldn't yell and had to maintain my professionalism to not get fired, so I said that it's a family hotel and pool. Guy had the audacity to ask if he could finish and I just told them to leave. Girl was very hot though, so that's a plus. A guy walks in after dousing himself in gasoline and carrying 2 pipe bombs. He walks in the entrance, flicking his lighter, then walks onto the floor to the player's membership counter. Thinking it was the cashier, he puts the pipe bombs on the counter. Then the fight is on. Security tackles him and it takes 4 of them to subdue him. He's dragged to the holding cell, soaked in gasoline while patrons run for their lives. Eventually, the casino is shut down and evacuated. The bomb squad shows up and the casino becomes the hurt locker. They take the bombs outside and detonate them. I worked cleaning and reception in a small hotel. A big trucker came into the office warning me he had sweat a lot and could we please change all the sheets. We usually do, so that was no problem. I go in and check when he left and his bed was indeed damp. It was saturated, and it smelt awful. Why he thought I could be fooled into thinking this was sweat is beyond me. He'd pissed the bed so thoroughly that it had leaked through a mattress protector and ruined the mattress. Carpet in the wall close by. Full stop. Dude jumped from the 8th story inside the lobby. Big mess. When I worked at a resort, a drunk guest grabbed a trolley from our lobby, snuck it outside, and attempted to ride it down a 40-foot long stretch of stairs. Of course he hit his head on the way down and had to be driven to the hospital by one of our shuttle drivers. Crazy Ivan the Russian, not his name of course. He came in, threw down $5,000 in bundled bills. It took me like 15 minutes to count all of it. I was so nervous at the time and new to dealing baccarat. 2 hands later it was gone. I never felt so sick to my stomach. Duck dealing. Bonus rage. I can't stand people saying winner, winner, chicken, dinner. I ducking heard that at 35890732498734983 times a ducking night. Holy duck, I can't stand that it anymore. Can I comment if I work in a theme park? Because one time a guest took her shoes off and walked through puke that we were dissolving with sawdust back to her seat. When we told her to watch her step, she said I've walked through worse. I recently had a guest expose himself to a 14-year-old girl. The hotel is shaped like a C. He was on one side, she on the other. Gross ducker stood in front of his window touching himself. The best part is he tried to say he was in a towel, but all the towels were dry and hanging up in the bathroom. 4 rough overviews. Same hotel. Had folks cooking meth. And another night counterfeiters. Almost could have been shot. Man cut off his own D. This one actually made the paper in a less blunt form. It was around 1999 to 2000. I'm looking for the article and will post it if I can find it. Former slot floor manager. People reaching over the EMTs and a guest on the ground. Who's having a stroke? To drop coin into a slot machine. Seriously. Ducking blazing sevens can wait. I was a bouncer at the Hollywood casino. We have a regular there who just so happens to be a midget. He's insanely nice. Respects staff. Tips well. And understands how damn well interesting it is to be that small. He even showed a crowd of 10 plus people he really can kick himself in the forehead. However, one night, he came in looking unusually spiffy. He said it was a special occasion. And he was going to meet some people. I hear people cheering him on. Having a good time. No complaints. It's going well. About 4 hours pass and he comes outside. I see him with 2 girls. A blonde and a brunette. Both in short dresses. Walking with him. He's got a cigar in his mouth. He calls the valet and he brings out a silver Lamborghini. The guy's straight up pimping tonight. He looks back at me. And I give an approving thumbs up. He has one girl on his lap. Which was supported by pedal extenders. And another girl in the passenger seat. They're both kissing him as the suicide doors go down. And as he drives away, I feel like a proud as duck parent watching his kid go to college. TL. Dr. Pimping midget with a Lamborghini and itches. Friend of mine here in street. Louis told me Chuck Berry left $20,000 in chips on the table at the casino he was working at the time. The casino kept track. Obviously he's a VIP. Held them. And he came back a few days later to claim them. Seems crazy to me, but from stories I've heard, pretty par for the course for old Chuck. Used to work security for a casino here, was on both grave and swing shift. One night, early morning really, around 5:30 to 6 am, I was doing my rounds, walking around bulleting with other co-workers, when I went to the outside bar, only bar in the city that's open 24/7, when some hippie girl walks up to me. Starts rambling on about some bullet. She was tripping balls. Then asks me if she can touch the plants. Sure, go ahead, I say. Boom, face plants right into the bushes. Same bar. 2 guys broke out into a fight. During the melee they knocked a girl over in her chair and she cracked her head wide open. The police officer who showed up let both parties leave. While asking him why, he said that there was no victim. I pointed to the girl who was still on the floor bleeding and he just shrugged. With cough, people having sex in the outside entertainment tent. Jumpers off the 7-story parking garage. One wasn't even a guest at the casino. He drove from a different county just to jump off the garage. Seen a rich old white man spit on a black guy, and the black guy asked to leave. Blackjack dealer paid out on 22. Tits ass and fights for days. Hotel front office manager. Here, seen some stuff in my days. One of the hotels at which I worked basically turned into a senior home in the summer. One morning my head housekeeper called me into one of the rooms. I took one step in and my jaw unhinged and hit the floor. The bed looked like someone had put a cherry bomb in a colostomy bag. It was soaked into the duvet, the top sheet, the fitted sheet, the down pillows, the accent pillows and into the mattress. We had to throw everything including the mattress out. There was another incident that same summer where someone forgot to put their Depends on underneath their shorts. I'm assuming a fart went wrong and it looked like Ringling Brothers had marched through the lobby at 10 am on a Saturday. Let's see what else. A different hotel where I was informed through a frat sorority mixer. Big mistake. Was doing some rounds to make sure no one was causing trouble. Stopped in the men's employee restroom locker room to see one of the sorority girls with a D in her mouth. A D in each hand and 2 other dudes waiting. Not so. Patiently to pound her like a $2 omelet. Booted them all out for that. If I remember correctly, we had a bunch of them arrested for sneaking in booze, drinking outside and trying to toke up in our bathrooms. I also had one girl whose ATM card was declined and offered to duck me in exchange for $100 so she could drink some more. Same hotel on a different evening. Working an overnight, I caught 2 dudes ducking on the Cruising USA video game machine at 1 AM. My exact response: there are 123 rooms here. Duck in one of those. Other memories. A drunk guy came out of his room and got in the elevator. The door closed, and then it opened. He was standing there on the phone with his D in his hand taking a piss. I told him I was kicking him out of the hotel. He came to the desk to apologize, and on the way over he spit more than once on the lobby floor. He then wiped his mouth and tried to shake my hand and tell me someone took a piss in the elevator. I had to call the cops to come get him and take him out of the hotel. He didn't get a refund. I've also delivered room service to naked people. That sucks. I work as a pool attendant at a resort and recently was asked by some women to be their cabana boy, and they were handsy. Take a rit in the middle of the hallway, then proceed to the pool to rinse off. My husband and I work at a nightclub in a hotel in downtown. Funny thing is, our nightclub is on some top nightclub on the US list. Anyway, people are always having sex on the dance floor, like just hiking up their skirts, pulling down their pants, and going to town. Lots of drugs everywhere. I saw a guy get out a little vial of coke and just take out his keys for a bump right by the entrance. My favorite so far has been the lady who had some sort of stomach surgery a few days before. Goes to the club with her family, downs a bunch of pills, gets smashed, has a bad interaction, and her heart stops. The paramedics show up and take her out. Our manager said she was fine, but my husband said she wasn't breathing for 45 minutes. Our owner is a cokehead and bangs hookers all the time. Everyone knows. We just avoid him at all costs. I worked as a bellhop for a year. We once had this guest who came in wearing all black and only had a briefcase. He wanted us to store it for a couple hours, but since he wasn't staying in the hotel we weren't allowed to hold it in the luggage closet. He ended up getting pretty pissed about it and started yelling at the valet, so I told him as long as he came back soon I'll just check it under a random room and he can go on his way. Shortly after I put it away I started to hear a loud ticking sound coming from the case. Normally this just means someone forgot to turn off their electric razor, so I thought nothing of it. About an hour later I get a call from the resort's security asking about a briefcase of a man fitting the description. I told them about how he made a scene and I gave him the luggage space anyways, and it turns out he started a fight with multiple dealers claiming he owned the place and how he was going to burn it to the ground. They kicked him out and called the police. I started to get a little more suspicious about the ticking sound coming from his bag, so I asked security to get rid of it. Turns out they don't take ticking sounds and hostile people very lightly. We had evacuated the hotel and police came to open it up. It was just a dildo with a broken motor wrapped in a Chicago Bulls jersey, but it sure made a mess of my afternoon. I got free cookies when the police questioned me in the holding room, so that's a plus.